When your husband leaves, don't touch the snow in your yard. I never expected groceries to change my life. It was a Tuesday in February, one of those bitter Chicago mornings where the wind cuts through your coat like it has a personal vendetta. I was standing in line at the Jewel Osco on Clark Street, mentally calculating whether I had enough in my checking account to cover everything in my cart. My daughter Amara needed new dance shoes. The electric bill was due Friday. Marcus had just texted saying he'd be working late again. The third time that week, the woman in front of me was fumbling with her wallet, her hands shaking. She was older, maybe 70, with silver hair pulled back in a neat bun and worry lines etched deep around her eyes. The cashier's expression had shifted from polite to impatient. "I'm sorry," the woman whispered, her voice trembling. "I thought I had enough on this card." "Declined again, ma'am," the cashier said, not unkindly but tired. There were people behind me now, sighing, checking their phones. I looked at her cart. Bread, eggs, milk, canned soup, the basics. Nothing extravagant. Nothing anyone should have to put back. Something in my chest cracked open. "I'll cover it," I heard myself say. The woman turned to me, her eyes filling with tears. "Oh, honey, no, I couldn't. Please," I said already, sliding my card across the counter. "Let me." It was $63. $63 I definitely didn't have to spare. But watching her face transform from shame to gratitude made something settle in my soul that I hadn't felt in months, maybe years. "Thank you," she breathed, gripping my hand with surprising strength. "You don't know what this means. I'm Eleanor, and I won't forget this kindness." Her eyes locked on mine with an intensity that made me uncomfortable. "Remember this, sweetheart. When your husband leaves, don't touch the snow in your yard." I laughed nervously. "My husband's not going anywhere." She just smiled, sad and knowing, and shuffled away with her bags. The strange comment stuck with me like gum on a shoe. That night, I tried to tell Marcus about it over dinner, but he barely looked up from his phone. "That's weird, babe," he muttered, shoveling rice into his mouth. "I just thought it was an odd thing to say," I pressed. "Like, why would she say when, not if?" Marcus stood abruptly. "Can we not do this mystical black woman intuition thing right now? I've got emails." He disappeared into his office. Again, Amara, my sweet 11-year-old, reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "I think it was nice what you did, Mama. That lady probably has grandkids she was trying to feed." Out of the mouths of babes, 3 weeks later Marcus left. Not dramatically, not with a fight or thrown dishes or any of the ways I'd imagined betrayal would look if it ever came. Just a text message while I was at work. "I need space. Staying at Derek's. We'll talk soon." We didn't talk soon, we barely talked at all. What we did do was lawyer up. What I discovered was that Marcus had been working late with his paralegal Simone for 6 months. What I felt was everything and nothing all at once. Rage, humiliation, relief, grief, all swirled together like a toxic smoothie I couldn't stop drinking. The divorce papers arrived in early March, during the first real thaw. I stood at my kitchen window, watching the snow in our backyard turn gray and slushy, revealing the dead grass underneath. Our neighbor Tom was already out there with his snowblower, clearing his driveway, sending plumes of white powder into the air. I should clear my yard too, I thought. Get rid of the mess. Start fresh. I was halfway to the garage to get the shovel when Eleanor S. words whispered through my mind, "Don't touch the snow in your yard." It was ridiculous. The ramblings of an old woman having a bad day. Snow was just frozen water. It didn't mean anything. But something made me stop. "Mama, why aren't we shoveling?" Amara asked, coming up behind me. "I don't know, baby. Just let's leave it." She shrugged and went back to her homework. The next morning there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find a man in a suit, mid-50s, holding a briefcase. "Mrs. Williams? I'm Detective Chen with the Chicago Police Department. May I ask you a few questions about your yard?" My heart started pounding. "My yard? We've received reports of suspicious activity in this neighborhood. Several homes have been burglarized in the past month. The perpetrator has a pattern. He watches for yards with melted snow, indicating the owners have been using their garages, coming and going regularly, occupied homes. He stakes them out, learns their patterns. Your yard," he gestured behind him, "is one of the few that still has snow coverage. It likely saved you from being targeted." I felt dizzy. "How do you know this?" "We caught him yesterday, found detailed notes in his car. Your address was on his list, but marked inactive, check later." The snow coverage made him think the home was vacant or the owners were away. After he left, I stood in my kitchen, hands shaking, Eleanor's face floating in my mind. When your husband leaves, don't touch the snow in your yard. It was impossible. She couldn't have known. Could she? I found Eleanor 3 days later, back at the same grocery store, moving slowly through the produce section. Eleanor! She turned and her face lit up with recognition. The angel who bought my groceries. I need to ask you something, I said, my voice low and urgent. How did you know? About my husband leaving? About the snow? She smiled, but there was sadness in it. Honey, I didn't know anything specific. I've just lived long enough to recognize the look in a woman's eyes when her marriage is already over, but she doesn't know it yet. And as for the snow... She picked up an apple, examined it carefully. My late husband used to say that sometimes the things we don't do matter more than the things we do. Sometimes stillness is protection. I learned that the hard way. But the burglaries, were they real, she asked, or was the lesson? I stared at her. You're telling me that was just coincidence? Does it matter? Eleanor's eyes were gentle but piercing. You stopped and helped someone who needed it. You made a choice to trust something that didn't make sense. And whether it was my words or God or the universe or just plain luck, you're safe. Your daughter's safe. That's what matters. She patted my arm. The world is full of small moments that become big turning points. We just don't always recognize them when they're happening. That was 4 months ago. Marcus and I finalized our divorce last week. He's engaged to Simone already. I saw it on Facebook, which is how I find out most things about my ex-husband's life now. It still stings, but more like a paper cut than the gutting wound it was in March. Amara and I are doing okay. Better than okay, actually. The house feels lighter without all that unspoken resentment filling the rooms. I got a promotion at work. Started going to therapy. Even went on a date last weekend. Nothing serious, but it was nice to laugh with someone new. And sometimes when I'm loading groceries into my car, or making dinner, or helping Amara with her homework, I think about that Tuesday morning. About $63 that somehow bought me more than food for a stranger. I still don't know if Eleanor was psychic, or wise, or just making conversation. I don't know if the burglar story was divine intervention or cosmic coincidence. But I do know this: kindness ripples in ways we can't always see or measure. And sometimes the universe gives us little whispers, little nudges, if we were quiet enough to hear them. The snow eventually melted, of course. By April, my yard was green again, alive with crocuses pushing through the mud. But I'll never forget what those silent white drifts protected while they lasted. If you want to hear more untold secrets and emotional stories like this one, subscribe to Silent Truth Diaries and comment your thoughts below. Have you ever had a moment when a stranger's words changed your life? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one.